Next in the list is the key tool, commonly referred to as keyer. This tool allows you to adjust the strength of the effects applied through a node. Think of it like opacity for a layer in Photoshop. So for this example, let's say that this second serial node is applying a dark red color to this clip. So let's change highlights to a really bright red color. And let's assume that we want to adjust the strength of this red color. So what we can do is we can select the relevant node and go to this key option, and here under the key output there is an option called gain, with which we can control the output or opacity for the selected node. So with this value we can reduce how much of effect that node has on this clip. The default value of this gain is 1, which means that this node is applying this effect in full strength. If I reduce it, then the strength of this red color, you will see it starts decreasing, and similarly this red color which was sitting at the top and actually kind of part of that was clipping, when I decrease it, this red color starts shifting down and the remaining colors start shifting up. And we can further keep decreasing it, and that will further squeeze this waveform, all these colors together, and also it will decrease the effect of that red color. And if I want to reset that, I can just double click on this text label and it will restore its original value. But let me just go ahead and reset that because this is really weird. Similarly, we can adjust the opacity of any node by selecting it and playing around with its keyer options. Next, we have the sizing tool, and if I click that, here we have all the different transform options for the video. For example, I can pan it right or left, and you can see the changes occurring in the waveform as well. I can tilt it up or down. I can zoom it in and zoom out, rotate it clockwise and counterclockwise, and let me just reset them. And you can reset any of these values just by double clicking on this text label. Similarly, I can stretch it horizontally or squeeze it. I can also do it vertically, stretching and squeezing. Similarly, you can pitch it, yaw in any direction, as well as flip it horizontally and even vertically. So these are all the transform options, and I'll just go ahead and reset them. So we are back to the original video. And although we could do all the transform options in the edit tab, but we can also do it in the color tab as well. The last tool in this toolbar is the 3D tool. And with this tool, you can do 3D imaging stuff, but it's not supported in the free version of Resolve, and clicking this tool does not do anything. You have to buy the paid or studio version to use this tool. Hello and welcome back. The trick we are going to learn in this lesson is very useful if you have many similar video clips to color correct and grade. For example, video clips shot in the same lighting from the same camera, and maybe if you want to apply the same color correction and grading on all of them without repeating yourself. For example, here in my timeline, you can see that there are two similar clips which are shot in the same lighting conditions and from the same camera. So I would like to color correct and grade them in the same way. So what I would need to do is I will need to color correct and grade only one of them, and then I can copy paste that onto the second clip. So for that purpose, let me try to color correct and grade this first one. I will create two serial nodes and let me save color correction in this one and grading in the other one. So I will play around with the highlights in the first node, maybe give it a darker look. And then for the second node, I can maybe apply some specific LUT and also maybe give it an orange look. Maybe I will increase the shadows a little bit. So this is my source clip where I have already worked on, and this is my target clip where I want to paste that work without repeating that. So this is just my way of quickly, color correcting and grading. Of course, you can give it any look you want. The thing is, I can simply copy this and paste it to the target clip. So this is our source clip from where we want to copy that work, and this is our target clip where we want to paste it. One of the ways could be to select these nodes from the source clip and then paste those nodes under this target clip, but that is not the proper way to do that. The proper way to do that is select the target clip where you want those effects applied to. So this is where I want to apply those effects. So I have selected it from the timeline. Then we need to go to the source clip or the clip from where you want to copy this color correction and grading, and then press with the middle mouse button and see what happens. I'll press it with the middle mouse button, and in a second, these effects are applied to this new clip. Now, if you don't have a mouse with a middle button, I highly suggest getting one, as it really helps while editing and grading in Resolve, and it makes your workflow so much easier. Now, one thing you should note is that all the previous work done on the target clip will be overwritten with the new correction and grading. So you can see that originally there was only one node under this target clip, but now there are two nodes which have overwritten the previous one. So to show you that it actually overwrites the earlier grade, let me undo it for a minute by pressing Command Z on Mac or Control Z on Windows and apply some random grading to this target clip. For this example, let me just give it a weird greenish look just to make it more prominent. Now again, I want to copy this grade from this source clip and I want to paste it on this target clip. So again, I will select the target clip from the timeline. Then I will click on my source clip with the middle mouse button, and you should observe two things. First, the weird greenish look is gone, which means it has been overwritten in this target clip. And the second observation is the same look has been copied from the source clip and pasted onto the target clip. So this is how you can copy a grade from one clip and paste onto a single or multiple clips. And this little trick is very useful to have an efficient and speedy workflow while color grading in Davinci Resolve. Thanks, and I'll catch you in the next lesson. Hi and welcome back. Now that we know how to use these color tools, let's try to adjust colors of these clips in our travel montage that we worked on earlier. So these are the clips, and colors in some of them are a little bit okay, but in some of them the colors are pretty horrible, to say the least. And actually we included these kind of clips in our project just to show you the power of color correction and color grading, which we are going to explore right now. So in this step of color correction, we will fix the contrast, exposure and saturation of these clips one by one, so that when they're played back to back, they look balanced. And to work on color correction, I will turn on my waveform because I think this is the best tool for color correction. Now, if you look at the clips, in this travel montage, we have around 15 clips, and I'll show you how to color correct 2 or 3 of them in which the colors are really weird. So once you're able to fix those, you will be able to fix all of them. It's just repetition. So first, let's look at this clip number 11. And you see this looks pretty flat. Now the idea with this color correction is that inside this waveform, we are making use of the whole vertical range, starting from 0 all the way to 1, 0, 2, 3. But if you look at the scope right now, the waveform, it's pretty squeezed vertically, and that is why there is not much contrast and not many colors in this picture. By using these color wheels, we can expand it and have it touch the bottom as well as touch the top, and you will see the difference. So first of all, I will increase the gain, and that will bring the highlights up. And I can bring the shadows down by decreasing the lift. And here you can see it is just touching the 0 on the shadows, and in the highlights it is just touching the top 1023. Now here we need to be careful that we don't go beyond these limits, because if we go beyond, we start losing information because most of it is above this 1023 mark. This is too bright and we can't see anything. So we need to bring it back. And we just need to touch this 1023 mark. Similarly, on the shadows, we need to just touch 0. And if I make this viewer bigger, you will see that some of these details are too dark. This portion in the waveform shadows, it corresponds to this part, okay? So this is clipping a little bit, so that's why some information is missing here. So I need to move it up a little bit so that all the information in those shadows is visible. If I make it bigger now, most details are visible. So that was about giving it enough contrast in shadows and the highlights, and we can further play around with the gammas to bring the midtones at the appropriate level so it starts looking good. I think this is fine. We can further play around with the saturation. This looks better. If I make it bigger using Shift F, you see this is after, and if I toggle the node, this is before. So you can see how big of a difference just a little bit of color correction can make. There was so much information in this image that we were missing, but we couldn't realize it until we used the full power of color correction. I can make it full screen using Command F or Control F, and I can scrub through this, and you can see the whole video has been color corrected. Command F to go back. And now we can try the same thing on some other clip. Let's try clip number 8. So again, we have a pretty squeezed waveform on the y-axis. So I will again increase the gain up. Bring the lift down to have some nice contrast. And right away it starts looking better. And we can further play around with the gamma. Right now, I'm not playing around with the individual colors. I'm just decreasing or increasing these values as a whole using these slider wheels. And you can further decrease or increase the saturation if need be. This looks better, and Command F to full screen. And you can see it looks pretty good. All the colors look pretty natural. And Command F to go back. And let's do one more clip. I think this has some nice colors which can be further enhanced. Again, this is also pretty flat, not much saturation, not much contrast. So I think we can further improve it. Increase the gain so that it just starts touching the top. Now we can decrease the shadows so that they just start touching 0. Right there. Play around with the gammas. And when you play with one wheel, it will mostly affect that portion. For example, gamma mostly affect the midtone, but the highlights and shadows would also be affected a little bit. So you have to go back and adjust the remaining portions as well a couple times. If you further want to enhance the saturation of these flowers, you can do that using the saturation. Command F to full screen, and I think now it looks pretty good. This is before and this is after, so a pretty significant difference. So this is the basic process of color correction, and if we wanted to, we could repeat this for all of these clips one by one, but that would be just repetition. I hope now you understand how to perform color correction. Thank you for watching this video. Hello and welcome back. In the previous lessons, I showed you how to color correct some of these clips, but I have gone ahead and color corrected all of them. As you can see, these colorful icons on all of these clips, and I've actually rendered it, and here is the actual video, so you can watch it and see the difference. In this lesson, I will show you how to put together the travel montage that you just saw in the previous lesson. So these are some short video clips I have provided in the course resources, and let's edit them together to turn them into a sequence for that travel montage. So first of all, I will navigate to these clips on my computer and add all of them . 1 through 14 to my media pool, and I'll say yes to that. And I'll also go ahead to add some music. Yes, this is the music, and some pictures. So I think this picture and another picture of the Joshua Tree National Park. And all of these clips and pictures and the music is provided in the course resources. This is the media workspace. So now that we have added media to the media pool, let's go to the edit workspace, close the effects library, go to the media pool, and here you will see all the media that we just added. And you can see that right now these clips have been shown randomly. So let's go to this button and sort them by their file names. And now they are in sequence. And also you can see that the timeline is empty yet. Now I will select all of these clips first. Add them to the timeline, and you can see that the timeline is created with one audio and one video track, and all of these clips are in sequence. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13, 14. And you can also see that this timeline thumbnail was also created when I placed them into the timeline. So let's double click that to rename this timeline. Let's say travel montage. And let's also go ahead to save this project as, save project as, and let's rename it travel montage. Save. So now later on, whenever I want to save it, I'll just press Command S on Mac operating system and Control S on Windows operating system to save it. So this is all the media that we are going to use, plus one picture at the start and one picture at the end. So let's select this. This is the one I want to place at the start. So let's go to the insert option to insert it in the beginning. This is the end, so let's insert this one in the end. And now you can see that the length of our timeline from start to finish, it is around 1 minute and 58 seconds. But we'll try to keep the final video under 1 minute, so we will need to do some trimming as well. Now one side note here, when you add media to the media pool and try to play it from the edit tab, chances are that you might face some laggy video playing here, right? You see these frame rates, these are not staying at the same value, these are fluctuating. So what this means is that the media has not been optimized to play on your computer yet. So to fix that, what you can do is go to the top menu, playback. There is an option called render cache, and under that, by default, it is selected none. So what you need to do is you need to pick this option smart. And as soon as you do, you will see that a red line appears on top of your timeline. Okay, so it looks like this. And initially all of it would be red. Okay, so red means these portions have not been optimized for playback yet, but some portions of this line would slowly start turning blue. As you can see, this has turned blue. So blue means it has been optimized to playback, but red means it hasn't been optimized yet. So give it some time until all of this line turns blue from red. And when all of it has turned blue, you can play and hopefully you won't see any lags anymore. Even if some portions are still red, you can play the portions which are blue, and in those portions you hopefully won't see any lags. See, right now the frame rate stays the same at the full value. But as soon as it will start playing this region, you will see some lags here. See? So just let it sit there for a few minutes, and hopefully all of that will turn blue very soon. Moreover, you will see that there are a lot of jump cuts at all these video transitions. See? So we will apply some video transitions to make these jump cuts smoother. And also you will notice that some of these clips are a bit shaky because these were just shot without tripods. So there is some shakiness going on. So we will fix them with stabilization in the end of this lesson. And before starting, let me give you the big picture of what we are going to do in this project. These clips are numbered from 1 through 14. You see it starts from clip number 1 and it goes all the way to clip number 14. So these clips were basically taken in the chronological order. That means the first clip is about start of the day at Joshua Tree National Park, then the activities done there during the day in a sequence like photography, climbing, etc. And the last few clips are about the day coming to an end with the sunset in the very last clip. We will put one picture of the park at the start and one picture at the end, and we'll also add some background music to that. And we will sync these video transitions to the beat of the music and add some titles to that so that we can practice all the editing tools we have learned so far in this course. And since we will be syncing these video transitions to the beat of the music, so let's try to add some background music. Let's bring it up so that we can see this track. And right now you can see that no waveforms are showing up. So what I can do is I can go to the timeline view options and here turn this audio waveform on. And now you can see the waveform for the background music. And you can also see that this line has all turned blue. See, I just gave it a few minutes and all of that turned from red to blue. So now all of it has been optimized to playback. And you can see that these clips have some audio also. Not any meaningful audio, but just some random sounds of camera clicking here and there. So basically we don't want any sound from these clips. We just want the background music. So what I can do is I can right click on this track containing the audio for these clips and delete that track. So now the only audio we have is the background music. And now if you see, the length of this music track is too much for our travel montage. So what I can do is I will trim the extra portion of the music. So I will zoom in. So to zoom in and out of this timeline using your mouse wheel, what you can do is on Mac operating system, you can press Option and move your mouse wheel. Or if you're using Windows, you can press Alt and move your mouse wheel. And in this way, you can zoom in and out very easily. So I need to trim this portion of the music. And right now you can see that the selection mode is enabled. So I want to go to the blade or the razor edit mode and the shortcut is B. So I can just either press this or press B on my keyboard and automatically it is enabled. And now I can just bring it to the top of to the alignment of the end of these video clips, and here I can press Command B to insert a cut. Command B on Mac operating system or Control B on Windows. Now I can again go back to the selection mode by pressing A. Click on this to select it and press delete to get rid of that. So now we have enough music to cover the length of these video tracks, but also remember that right now it is around 2 minutes and we will need to trim it to under 1 minute. So we will need to add the unneeded portion of music again later on. So again, zoom in on the timeline. And here you see these are the original lengths of all these video clips. And we will need to do some trimming on those as well. So let's start some editing. Now remember that we need to do some trimming on these clips. So let's trim them a little bit from the edges and later on we can further fine-tune that. So one way to trim these from the edges is using again the razor edit mode. So I'll press B to enable this razor edit mode, and let's try to trim these clips a little bit from the edges. So the first way is using the razor edit mode, and I'll just bring it here, press Command B on Mac or Control B on Windows and insert it. Now I can press A for the selection mode, click it, and now I need to get rid of this portion. So what I can do is I can press delete on Mac operating system or backspace on Windows, and that portion has been deleted, but you will see that the gap is still there. Okay, so by pressing the backspace on Windows or delete on Mac operating system, you can just get rid of the clip, the selected clip, but the gap would still be there. But if you want to delete the clip as well as the gap, what you can do is, let me undo that to bring it back. And now I want to get rid of this clip as well as this gap that will be created when it's gone. So to do that, I'll select it, and on Mac operating system, I can press Shift Delete, or on Windows, press Delete button, and you can see that that clip is gone, and also it took away with it the gap that was to be created here. So now the gap has already been taken care of. Now I will trim these clips to parts we need to tell the story, and later on I will further tweak these trims to sync them with the music. So we can keep using the razor edit mode, insert some cuts, go to the selection mode, press Shift Delete on Mac operating system or simply delete button on the Windows operating system, and the clip and the gaps are also gone. But another way to trim that could be with the selection mode, and you can just bring your cursor to the edge of a clip until you see this kind of cursor, and now you can just drag it inside, but this results in a gap. Similarly, I can trim this from the edge, trim that from the edge also, but you see that this is creating some gaps. So the way to get rid of those gaps is by pressing them, and now you can see that this gap has been selected, and simply pressing delete button and that gap would be removed. Similarly, I can select this gap, press the delete button, and that gap is removed. But I think the best way to trim these and also take care of the resultant gaps at the same time is using this trim edit mode. So I select that, and let's try to trim these clips using the trim edit mode. And the way to do that again is to bring your cursor to the edge of the clip until you see this kind of cursor, and now when you trim those, everything will be slipping with that, so the gaps would be taken care of at the same time. So in this way I can trim those clips a little bit. This is not the final trimming, this is just to bring them within 1 minute, and later on we are going to sync these transitions to the beat of the music. So in this way I can do trimming on all these clips to make them shorter. And not only trimming, we'll also need to pick the right portion of the original video that goes well with the background music and the theme of our overall travel montage. So looks like we are still at around 1 minute and 22 seconds or so, but we'll take care of that as we go along. So again, let me go to the razor edit mode by pressing B, bring my cursor here, press Control B on Windows or Command B on Mac operating system to insert a split here. Press A for the selection mode, select it and press delete. Okay, and also I can, you can see if I play it. So right now the music is kind of starting abruptly, and we can pick this notch and move it inside to have some nice fade in effect for this music. So now I think this would be some nice fade in effect. Okay, that is better. Now I think I'm gonna stop right here to end this lesson, and we'll continue working on this in the next lesson.